The truck driver avoided stopping and deliberately rammed his vehicle into the patrol car. He then repeated the maneuver, this time resulting in a violent collision.
A quiet day in Lee County, Florida. It's 1:28 p.m. and a highway patrol officer sits patiently in his Dodge Challenger, stationed on Highway 146, watching traffic heading toward New Brunswick. Suddenly, a flash of silver cuts through the steady stream of cars. A Chevrolet Silverado, moving at breakneck speed, violently slices through traffic. The truck is traveling at over 100 kilometers per hour, 160 kilometers per hour, in a 100 kilometer per hour, 62 miles per hour zone. The officer's laser device locks on, confirming the speed at 60 miles per hour, 98 kilometers per hour. The Silverado races along the inside lane of Interstate 75, passing several cars. The officer immediately begins a pursuit. The high-speed pursuit. The chase begins. The Silverado began changing lanes erratically, nearly colliding with a semi-trailer truck. The trooper activated his emergency lights. The Silverado driver responded by braking intermittently, shifting gears, and swerving between lanes. He then engaged his right turn signal, as if intending to stop, but quickly accelerated and changed lanes again. The trooper activated his sirens. The chase continued on I-75, with speeds reaching 100 miles per hour, 160 kilometers per hour. Another patrol unit joined the chase. The second trooper maneuvered his vehicle, attempting to overtake the Silverado. However, the truck driver brazenly avoided stopping by slamming on the brakes and deliberately ramming his vehicle into the patrol car. He then repeated the maneuver, this time with a violent collision. This time it was a very violent collision that caused the patrol to get stuck. Despite the violent collision, the Silverado continued northbound in the right lane of I-75 at 100 miles per hour, 160 kilometers per hour, even after its right front tire failed. The driver turned off the exit, ran a stop sign, and attempted to turn west onto Tucker's Road. The pursuing officer took advantage of the opportunity and struck the left side of the Silverado, sending it into a grassy area. The truck eventually came to a stop. The driver, still determined to escape, tried to hit the gas pedal, but the Chevrolet would not move.
Looks like we're going to be taking the exit.
We're taking exit.
Let's go, stop. Let me see your hands! Get your fucking hands! Get out of the fucking car! Get out of the fucking car right now! Get your fucking hands! Get out of the fucking car! Get out of the car! Get out of the fucking car! Pull his goddamn head off! Get out of the fucking car! What the fuck you on? You want any fucking shit? Fuck up. Get up. Get up. Don't look, dumbass. Get up. Get up. Don't hurt me. Get up. Don't look, FBI. FBI. Yeah. Call my family. Call my church celebration. I'm not getting set up. Sorry, buddy. Drunk? No. Sounds drunk. Anything on me that's gonna let me stick me. I didn't want this, man. I didn't want this. I'm antsy right now. I'm not. I might take you to the ground again if you get antsy. I respect you guys. Well, not enough to not fucking run. Man, my life's over with anyway, man. Yeah, man. Put that on yourself. Yeah. Medication. Take medication, what kind of medication?
Alright, 1757, some photo West Boys and Chevrolet.
Man. Alright, wait.
Oh, yeah, 1098
I'm showing the law. Clearly not. Yeah, clearly I am so. You get a hold of my uncle Tommy Donald Day. Go! Go where? Take me in. Got Sally. Double lock. Double lock. I got most of this one.
Make sure my shit's out of Alright, so I think I didn't mean to, I'm psyched. I'm psyched. I hear voices.
Back up my car. You got gloves? You got gloves? Stay home.
He then jumped into the passenger seat and fled on foot. Officers pursued him, and after a short foot chase, they were able to apprehend him.
Come on, man. You gotta think about
Findings.
yourself.
During a search of the truck, officers discovered several items. They found 6 empty and 4 full liquor bottles, a 99 brand party pack, and 3 burned marijuana cigarettes. Drug paraphernalia was found in the center console. On the left rear passenger door, 2 prescription bottles were found, one containing oxcarbazepine and the other containing gabapentin. The driver was transported by emergency medical services to a local hospital for treatment. A CT scan revealed a bottle of pills he had hidden inside his rectum. A blood test showed his blood alcohol content was 0.152, nearly twice the legal limit. After receiving medical attention, he was taken to jail, ending a chaotic chase.
A 36-year-old man led a frantic police chase, traveling at speeds exceeding 150 kilometers per hour, hitting 16 vehicles while driving through traffic on Melbourne's Kings Way, which lasted from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. On Friday, July 11th, 2025, police were called to St. Kilda Road in Melbourne after reports of a man-stolen truck around 5:40 a.m. The chase began in Footscray when a white truck was spotted erratically driving through the streets. Disturbing video captured by 9 News shows the moment the truck veered between cars on the Westgate Bridge. The white Toyota was traveling at high speed on a Melbourne freeway. The video shows the vehicle narrowly avoiding other drivers as it continued its chaotic path. At one point, sparks were seen flying from the tires. vehicle, which sustained significant damage to its front bumper and hood, continued on Prince's Highway before descending into Palmer's Avenue in Point Cook. At one point, the vehicle climbed onto a pedestrian crossing and struck street signs. A police helicopter and officers in unmarked vehicles participated in the chase, which continued through several suburbs, including Port Melbourne, Spotswood, Carnegie, Sunshine, and Dandenong. The vehicle struck several stationary and moving vehicles. It also struck lampposts on Dunnings Avenue in Point Cook before slowing down. The chase ended when the driver suddenly jumped out of the window of the still-moving truck. He was then struck by an unmarked black police vehicle after attempting to flee on foot. Police officers surrounded the driver, who was arrested at the scene. The same truck struck a street sign at the intersection of Dunnings Avenue and Palmer's Avenue in Point Cook at around 1 p.m. The man suffered non-life-threatening injuries and was taken to the hospital. Man denied bail after allegedly jumping from pickup truck in dramatic Melbourne chase. A man has been refused bail after allegedly leading police on a dramatic car chase in Melbourne last Friday. The 36-year-old man faces dozens of charges, including reckless conduct endangering life and endangering a police officer by reckless driving. A man who allegedly led police on a dramatic chase in Melbourne in a stolen pickup truck on Friday before jumping out of the window and being hit by a pursuing police car has been refused bail. The 36-year-old appeared in the Melbourne Magistrates Court via video link from the Royal Melbourne Hospital, where he was bed-bound, to face dozens of charges related to the incident. These charges included 12 counts of reckless conduct endangering life, 17 counts of reckless conduct endangering life, and endangering a police officer by reckless driving. The alleged driving offenses and thefts began in the early hours of July 11th in Melbourne suburbs, including Melbourne, Port Melbourne, Spotswood, Carnegie, Sunshine, Dandenong, and Point Cook, leading to what was described as a criminal rampage. At about 4:30 a.m., the suspect robbed an office building on St. Kilda Road, stealing items including reflective clothing, power tools, a coffee machine, and work boots. About an hour later, a man allegedly stole a white Toyota pickup truck from the opposite side of St. Kilda Road. The owner was cleaning it while the keys were in its place. Throughout the day, police alleged the suspect stole mail from letterboxes, drove at speeds exceeding 150 km per hour, and struck 16 vehicles while driving through traffic on Kings Way. The man was arrested after a lengthy police pursuit in Melbourne. Among the most serious charges against him is reckless endangerment of an emergency worker, a charge brought in connection with his alleged reversing while an officer had his arm in the van window. The court heard that the suspect, who did not hold a driver's license, suffered a broken hip and thigh in the incident. Police were unable to determine whether the suspect was under the influence of drugs on the day of the pursuit, and the results of blood tests have yet to be released. At the time of his arrest, he was on bail for 4 charges, with conditions including not operating a vehicle. A list of the suspect's previous driving offenses was presented to the court, including driving a Mercedes at 140 km per hour in a 60 km per hour zone. Authorities are tracking the driver of a stolen BMW. The suspects abandoned it under a bridge in Lincoln Heights and fled, just like the Jaguar.
One of the other stolen vehicles that they were tracking out of Whittier. So this is one of several stolen vehicles that they picked up for speeding and then turned out to be GTA suspects. The other BMW that was in pursuit did manage to get away. This blue BMW still on the run. As I mentioned, it does appear that law enforcement, at least for the time being, appears to be giving this up. There's also a separate pursuit in LA County's sheriff jurisdiction down in Lakewood. I think that might be where that helicopter went off to, unless they have another one heading down there. So several active pursuits now in the area, and this one appears the random turns he's been making, a wild U-turn there. It does look like there's definitely a passenger in that left seat there, and so we have at least 2 people inside of this SUV. I remember there was another passenger who was dropped off earlier on in this pursuit. As you mentioned, he's been through behind him and possibly probably pull him over. But look at that front left tire. At some point during that collision, that tire must have come off of the rim there. It looks like it's almost about to wobble off there. Impression that they are really under the gun here. They don't feel a lot of pressure. There's nobody behind them. They may be cognizant of the helicopter overhead or our presence even, but for the most part, this appears to be a joyride, quite frankly. There he is. There he is. He's coming out, slowly creeping up to this intersection here. It looks like the driver's seat is now empty. Driver's seat is empty, passenger seat is empty, the vehicle rolling by here, and it looks like those two have dumped the vehicle underneath the freeway here. This is the 101 freeway, I believe, right? This is, yeah, we're over the 101 freeway, or the 5 freeway. They've dumped the vehicle underneath the 5, or now it appears that it's more likely even the 10 minutes or so. At some points, getting in the wrong way, going the wrong way.
Suspect in SUV leads Los Angeles authorities on chase in Long Beach. 2 suspects pursued in suspected stolen Jeep in Hawthorne. Police began pursuing a black Jeep believed to be stolen. As the suspect drove through parts of Inglewood and Hawthorne on the evening of Friday, May 30th, the driver was driving recklessly on the opposite side of the road, narrowly avoiding traffic.
This LAPD pursuit, hot pursuit down the 110 freeway. The suspect in that gray Jeep zigzagging his way through southwest LA, eventually making his way onto the Harbor Freeway here. Excuse me? Say again? Copy. That tire's going to come off. I do. Well, you're looking at the southbound side of the 110 freeway here. Copy that. Sorry about that. Southbound side of the 110 freeway. He got off at Manchester very briefly and then got right back on the freeway. This was after weaving through southwest LA for a good 5, maybe even 10 minutes or so. At some points getting in the wrong way, going the wrong way against traffic on very busy surface streets. Now he's on the 110 freeway. LAPD with a full pursuit package here. 3 black and whites right behind him, attempting to hand this off to California Highway Patrol if it stays on the freeway. Right now they're transitioning through LAX's airspace here. We're coming up on the 105 freeway. Right now appears to be committed to the southbound 110 here. We'll see if that changes. There's a lot of ramps here as we make our way along the west side here. He's behind that ramp right there. You can see it looks like he might be transitioning, just very hard to tell. Is he coming this way? Westbound 105? Westbound 105, getting onto the 105 freeway, which is the less traveled freeway. If you look up and down the 105, very heavy traffic coming towards us on the eastbound side. He is now heading away from us on the westbound side of the 105 freeway, again, heading back through Linwood here. So we're going to continue to follow this pursuit. Unknown what the want is. We do not know how many people are inside the vehicle at this point. It was very difficult to see inside that vehicle, but he does appear to be pretty desperate to get away from those pursuing officers. So it was a little unclear. Yeah, you're right. It was a little unclear whether it was a tire that was running flat or if the actual axle was destabilized. I can't tell. It looks as he picks up speed, it seems to be wobbling a little bit less. What I can tell you is he has been in at least one, maybe even more minor collisions during the course of this pursuit. And I'm talking about real love taps, gentle bumper-to-bumper type stuff, but nothing major. There's no major damage obvious other than the stability of that front left wheel. So again, whether it's the tire that was misbehaving or now it appears that it's more likely the rim or the axle that was for some reason a little bit wobbly as he was traveling a little bit slower. And as you mentioned, as he picks up steam here, it looks to be a little bit more stable as we peer up on this pursuit from the rear. Coming up on the rear here, it looks like the vehicle is behaving okay, at least for the time being. Well, as long as he's on the 105 freeway, we're going to maintain the south side here, and we should be able to transition through Hawthorne with him here. We're coming up on Hawthorne Airport as he starts to pull over to the right. So if you're looking at it from our angle here, we're looking from south to north. He is traveling from east to west, and the Bravo airspace basically includes the area north of the 105 and west of the 110 freeway. That's where things get hairy, not only for us up here in Air 7, but also for that LAPD air support helicopter, which is why they have invited those ground units to re-engage the pursuit. For some time, they put it into tracking mode, and once he got close to LAX's airspace, they started the pursuit once again. It looks like he's making a southbound turn, exiting the 105 freeway, southbound on Crenshaw Boulevard, continuing this dangerous chase here through South LA with no intention of slowing down whatsoever. And again, the one thing we really are unclear about is how all of this started. What precipitated this pursuit is still very much a question mark, but there does appear to be clear intent on his part to get away and clear intent on LAPD's part to not let that happen. So now he's making a right turn. He's going to be heading westbound on 120th Street, away from Crenshaw Boulevard, heading back towards the west here, going through another red light here, not obeying stop signs, not obeying red lights. That has been the pattern throughout this pursuit. We don't know. Very much unclear at this point whether there's anybody else inside that vehicle. We do not know whether he is armed or whether LAPD has any of that intelligence or whether they are operating in the blind. Again, we don't know how all this started. He's now making a left turn off of 120th, southbound now on Prairie Avenue through Hawthorne. That's going to take him away from LAX's airspace, gives us an opportunity to catch up with him. It also gives that air support helicopter the opportunity to maintain a visual. And now I am hearing Giovanna and Philip that this is a stolen vehicle. So a stolen vehicle now in a parking lot here, heading in through a liquor store, trying to come out the other side on Broadway. This vehicle does not belong to him, and he is driving it like he stole it. You can tell.
But here you have it. I don't know how this driver thinks they're going to get away with LAPD right there immediately behind them. And obviously...
Ooh, cross traffic. Little close call here. I'm totally with you, Philip. Never seen anything like that. I mean, that wheel almost looked like it was about to come off, and now the vehicle is behaving almost completely normal. As we look at it from the driver's side here, we were paying attention to that front left wheel, now making another left turn here onto 133rd Street, coming towards us. We're going to get a better shot of the passenger side of the vehicle to see if there's any misbehavior by either of those wheels. But right now, that vehicle is traveling in a straight line directly towards us, and for the first time, we can peer through that driver's side window, that driver's windshield, and it does appear there is a passenger inside of the vehicle. So to answer Giovanna's question, we now know of at least two people inside of the stolen vehicle and getting a little bit of a closer shot here through that tinted window on the driver's side as he picks up some speed here. And I can't tell, honestly, whether it is a man or a woman, quite frankly, but he is now, again, southbound on Prairie Avenue. Oh, you're so right about that. And every time we've seen any encounter with any kind of traffic jam, he's really shown little hesitation to weave around traffic, go the wrong way, and at some points even making contact with some of these innocent drivers on the road here. So now he's in a much more congested, more narrow area here on Corderi Avenue off of Prairie. And you can see, I'm sorry, let me just lower this radio really quick here. Southbound on Corderi Avenue and still continuing down this more industrial area here. So we've been through residential neighborhoods, we've been through more commercial areas, we've been on the freeway, off the freeway, now coming out on a major at Rosecrans Avenue, now coming westbound on Rosecrans, slowing down a little bit. We'll go ahead and widen out to see how far back those LAPD units are. They are trying to catch up, but as you can tell, they have pulled back just a little bit, whether they were unable to squeeze through traffic there. Look at this, going the wrong way in between those cars here. Look at this. That was a wild move there, and there comes LAPD right behind him as he slows down here. Not sure why. He might be even coming to a stop here at Foothill or Fonthill Avenue and Rosecrans. LAPD now out of their vehicle. Guns drawn, aimed squarely at the driver's side of that Jeep as he comes to a full stop here on Fonthill Avenue for no apparent reason. Not sure if the vehicle is giving up or if the suspect has just decided to surrender. It looks like it might be a female driver with a passenger now stepping out of the vehicle. You can see them with their hands up, and this has come to a random and sudden stop as they appear to be willing to end this finally after some dangerous driving and at times going the wrong way, including the very end there, swerving across the oncoming lanes of Rosecrans Avenue, now surrendering to these LAPD officers on Fonthill. A very sudden end here, and we don't know how much more that vehicle had left in it, but obviously it doesn't really matter at this point. Finally, fortunately, this has come to a peaceful resolution, it appears, as at least 2 people are getting out of that vehicle. They will eventually check the back seats and make sure that vehicle is empty.
The pursuit ended when
somehow she was able to recover, regain full control, and continue maneuvering the vehicle as if nothing was wrong whatsoever. But for whatever reason, she decided to pull over, and thankfully nobody has been hurt here.
Well, police are looking at something. Are they checking out damage? Not sure. All right, well, with that, we are going to wrap it up. Fox 11.
Copy.
Suspect in SUV leads Los Angeles authorities on chase in Long Beach. 3 young men led authorities on a high-speed chase in Long Beach. They were driving a stolen white Kia SUV before ditching it and running for cover. Commentator Mr. Stu.
That's right, Colleen. You may have noticed we've been showing you this white Kia SUV on the right side of your screen for the past few minutes as LA County Sheriff's Department has been pursuing this driver through the streets of Carson. There is a wild and dangerous driver behind the window of that tinted vehicle right there. You can see the missing door handle on the driver's side of the vehicle. That male with a hoodie continues to keep peering up at the helicopters. He knows that there are people on his tail. However, this has been in and out of pursuit mode. At one point, they did authorize a pit maneuver. The most recent update is that they have pulled off completely. They have abandoned this pursuit, but we are sticking with this driver because he is posing a danger to the community here. He has been traveling at a very high rate of speed, upwards of 70 to 85 miles per hour down surface streets, and now there is talk of getting the California Highway Patrol involved in this case. We don't know what the original want is here, but in any event, he is now underneath or coming out the other side of the 710 freeway, eastbound on Del Amo Boulevard. He appears to be alone in the vehicle, but the driving has been such that he has come into a number of close calls, almost causing severe injury, and we're going to continue to keep an eye on this to see if California Highway Patrol picks this pursuit up once again. Again, we do not know what the original want was. We're going to see, actually just be getting an update right now from the Sheriff's Department. This is a stolen vehicle. So a grand theft auto suspect on the run here, making very erratic moves, a wild U-turn here, illegal U-turn, as he continues to try and basically try and probably look for a place to hide out, dump the vehicle at some point. He does know that there are authorities on his tail. He is very, very keenly aware of the pressure on him. We'll see how the behavior changes here, but we'll continue to follow this guy, Colleen. Southbound 710. Look out for CHP. I know, I saw that. Scanner 1. The pursuit, you could come back to me. The pursuit is not back on, but the airship is following, and he's picking up speed. Look at this, 100 miles per hour. Yeah, we got to take this, 110. Copy. Using the shoulder. Here we go. Yeah, first we were on surface streets. He got tired of fighting traffic on the Del Amo Boulevard and eventually got onto the southbound side of the 710 freeway doing speeds in excess of 110 miles per hour, has now made his way into Long Beach, getting off of the freeway at the end of the 710 here, and now on Anaheim Street as he now makes his way off of the freeway, still doing extreme speeds here. California Highway Patrol monitoring this driver who was in pursuit by the Sheriff's Department. The Sheriff's Department gave up on the pursuit, but the driving behind the wheel has maintained a very dangerous speed. You can see that Sheriff's helicopter still overhead, keeping an eye on the suspect. California Highway Patrol monitoring on the ground, deciding whether to engage with this suspect. But the driving, as I mentioned, is extremely dangerous and has had a number of close calls with other motorists. Now he's on surface streets here in a more commercial area. We're at Magnolia Avenue and Loma Vista Drive. He's making his way through this residential neighborhood now on the other side of Loma Vista, on the other side of Magnolia, I should say. And we'll see if anybody engages with him. He has not shown signs of dumping the vehicle, but we do know that this is a stolen vehicle. Grand theft auto suspect behind the wheel, doing speeds at times in excess of 85 miles per hour on surface streets, was touching 120 miles per hour on the 710 freeway. But again, it's a question mark as to whether there he is. He's dumping the vehicle. Two passengers, or one passenger, a driver, two passengers, three total running out of the vehicle, dumping the vehicle, now running into a neighborhood, through an apartment complex in a back alley, making their way through here. There is no sign of law enforcement on the ground. There is a helicopter overhead. We're going to stick with the driver here as he continues to run for his life through this neighborhood. Again, down in an alleyway off of Electric Court and Loma Vista Drive. Three suspects dropping that vehicle off and running for it in three different directions. Now climbing onto private property, over fence, into another apartment building here. We're going to come around here and see if anybody is able to catch up with them, but it looks like these three suspects are going to find space to hide out in this community at Electric Court and Loma Vista Drive after a dangerous pursuit, eventually giving up, dumping the vehicle, and now three suspects, again, on the run here, trying to find a hiding spot and just wait out the cops, because right now there is really no sign of law enforcement anywhere around here except for the helicopter, who has been monitoring their movements. We just saw the driver come around the building there. He's underneath that staircase, possibly in the first floor of this apartment building, and now looking for a spot to hide out. But you can see a lot of commotion now as folks start to wonder what in the world's going on here. They hear the helicopters. You saw that guy running through this private property. Again, we don't know if he has any connection to this property or if he just randomly ran in here. It looks like it was a more random run, but we'll see if anybody from law enforcement shows up, whether it's California Highway Patrol or potentially even the Long Beach Police Department. Colleen?